Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes, and the Treasury are in hot bother, this time with advertising standards, also for impartiality breaches. They have made an advert that is quite clearly A, wrong, and B, politicised, and it should be neither. The civil service should only provide facts, not opinion, and should never work for a government in political terms. It's not there to play party politics, and yet that's exactly what it seems to be doing. So here we are already, new year, new problems, same old problems really. Keir Starmer's Labour government are in the firing line over this because they must have approved, or they must have suggested it, but it was the Treasury that put this out. It wasn't party political. It wasn't the Labour Party that's put this out. It was officials from the Treasury. Therefore, it should not have been either of these things. In social media ads, you might have seen them on Twitter, Facebook, and so forth. The Treasury have been pointing out something about the school fees. They have insisted, and I'm going to read this, that this scrapping of the VAT, they're saying the scrapping of the VAT exemption on private school fees means that tax breaks for private schools will end from 2025, adding that the move will enable better investment at state education and help recruit 6,500 more teachers, one of its first steps for change in government. First of all, the mistake here is they say the scrapping of the VAT exemption on private schools. It's interesting because private education is not VAT exempt. There is no exemption. That would have to be explicitly stated in tax law. Exemptions exist. This is one of the many that people don't realise. One of the many VAT levels is exemption. One of the VAT codes is an exemption. But in fact, it's outside the scope. It's not exempted. There is no law on the books saying that education is exempted from tax. It's simply outside the scope, because nobody thought anyone would be stupid enough to put it into tax. So that's a lie. Then they say the tax breaks for private schools will end from 2025. It's not a tax break. Just because there was no tax applied on it does not mean it was a tax break. So that's the second lie. And it says it will enable better investment in state education, etc., and help teachers, blah. But it won't, because that money has not been ring-fenced by legal definition. It's money going into the central pot. What happens to it afterwards is a separate thing, but that money has not been ring-fenced by an act, and therefore that also is a lie. But the fact that they're putting this out and telling three lies, all designed to aid the government, the party, the Labour Party, shows that the civil service is now biased toward Labour. It is not an independent, unbiased civil service. It is now playing party politics. Lots of people have been pointing this out. Times Educational Supplement pointed this out, that Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, has used similar language over the last few weeks and months to try and defend this move. Isn't it curious how both the officials and the ministers are using the same language, and yet they're supposed to be independent of each other? Very weird. But Conservative MP Jess Norman said, much as I have, it's not a tax break. He said, this is a highly political tweet at odds with the proper neutrality of the Treasury and the civil service. Correct. Dame Priti Patel agreed, saying the tweet shows that the Treasury has lost its impartiality and objectivity and is now a mouthpiece for Britain's left-wing government while they tax the education of children. Now, they claim it's going to raise 1.7 billion. It will not. It's actually going to cost money. It's going to cost over 1.7 billion. So any money raised, and it won't raise anywhere near that, but any money raised will be more than lost by all the claims going in against it. And the Tories have already said if they win the next election, they're reversing it anyway. So it's only Labour destroying one generation, basically. One set of kids going through private school, they're the ones that will go. Unfortunately, of course, private schools are closing because of it. They will never, ever reopen. Hey-ho. I will point out as well, just as an aside, that some schools are making hay while the sun shines. Since they're going to have a 20% increase in charges because of the VAT, they're using the uplift to slip a few extra bits on top. And it's if you're at Eton, it's not going to cost you 20% extra. It's going to cost you 30% extra. But then I suppose if you can afford to go to Eton, well, you're not going to miss it, are you? On the other hand, and this is an interesting one, there are court cases going through, as we know, special needs, single sex, religious education, things like that. However, there's a case going through because of charities. Charities, of course, are exempt from VAT. Here's the thing. If you are a charity that is giving a place to a child in a public school, and these things exist, they happen, bursaries or scholarships and things, and the government tries to charge VAT on the fees that a charity is paying to a private school, then that's in breach of the government's own charity laws. And they're waiting also now to hear if there's a case going through on that front, because there are quite a few children who go through on bursaries and scholarships. And because it's through a charity, no VAT may be applied. Interesting one. I do hope that also causes a conniption fit in number 11. It's a very, very poorly thought out piece of legislation, not done to raise money, of course. They don't care that they're going to lose money. What they're caring about is it's a class war. They don't like kids being taught in private schools. It's it sticks. It's a bit different. Look at them being better than us. Look at you, Keir Starmer, rushing to the head of the queue for your little downhill ski. Bless. You moan about privilege of education. I moan about privilege of you taking your kids ahead of a 3-hour queue. Don't talk to me about privilege, you tosspot. Of course, it's like I say, there are those court cases going through. Some of them are being based on the European Convention of Human Rights. If that's one, then that's the end of it. You can't put VAT on education at all. And the genius that is Rachel Reeves, the best economist ever, literally, no one's ever been as good an economist as her, she will be utterly humiliated and made to look a fool. Too late for that, huh? Anyway, but they're talking about this. They say 6,500 teachers. Where are you going to put them? You've got to build they're reckoning about 30 high schools, between 20 and 30 high schools to fit all the kids leaving private education and going into the state. So you can buy the teachers. Where are they going? Nobody knows. Thanks very much. Bye.